So a little overview about what we do in computer viz, at least in the program as it exists now, to help prepare students for the construction tech series that they're going to move into. And this is really just a subset of the program. It's not the whole basis of the program isn't to prepare just students for construction tech, but it's for all of um, the requirements of modeling and BIM understanding that will be required through their whole coursework. So it covers a lot. The course covers a lot of ground. And so there's always a little bit of compromise about where the track that we kind of move into when we want to bring alignments to other coursework. But in general, we start with a commercial building that we build through a series of 4 or 5, actually seven projects, labs. And at the M4 stage, which is about 5 or 6 weeks into the program, students have a relatively well-developed model of a small commercial building. We're seeing this now without any grade level. We've got a foundation, and they've learned how to apply textures and glazing systems, render them in different kinds of techniques, and then we introduce the idea of now reporting off technical drawings. And since this is one lab, I've tried to consolidate the drawing work to fit in that allotted time. So there are some compromises that go along with that development. But this isn't the only time that they're going to make some technical documentation. So keep that in mind. It's just a close-up view of where that model is. And here's one of the sheets that they produce. I tell them that this isn't, we produce 2 sheets, so I've made a little compromise on layout, but I make sure that they apply a front elevation, a side elevation, and a foundation plan and a first floor plan. And I notice on this one, there's actually an error that there's no title block showing here or title for the foundation and the first floor plan. But with that in mind, the whole goal of this is to get them to realize the connection between what they've made and now the kind of outputs that they'll be required to do for technical documentation. They get to experience chain dimensioning singular items, the way we tab and move through to create these dimensioning systems. And then we go and we pull a section through the building. And that's indicated here. And with that section, we then go in and take detailed sections. So they learn how to present the section, modify some of these things to fit on the screen, but then take these detailed sections off, and they start to just begin a look at how they need to modify these to report properly, which means they need to cover up certain things in the views in order to make them look correct. So they get an idea of using fills and some other techniques. This is not a completely sophisticated drawing yet. There's a lot of errors here, but I kind of take a break at the end of this lab, not to overload them, I guess, so to speak, because like I said, we're going to move next into, they come back and they detail, they build some other exterior elements, and then they look back on their drawing and they come to the realization that that's already been updated in their technical documentation. So this isn't necessarily, this M5 is not really necessarily related to construction tech development, but I was just showing you how they develop an understanding of the relationship between what they're modeling and the updates that will happen naturally to their technical documentation. Probably more important for what students need for alignment into construction tech, especially if we're starting with wood framing, is this idea of the rationalization between the model and what we do as far as technical drawings go. And in this case, this is a simplification of what had been done a year earlier. This is an example a year earlier. We had taken a townhouse and then used that in a project and then cut it up to report out some section details. Unfortunately, I think this was just too much work spread out over too long a period to make it a well-consolidated project. They were asked to do a whole lot of detailing, and was kind of unhappy with some of the unresolved issues, like what happens here technically at the rafter element. So I stepped back on this and decided to abandon the linkage to the townhouse project and create just a simple wall section where we inserted some windows, created a foundation, and then we could cut through the model, understand how it varied from what we needed to do in actual technical documentation, and then use that section and then embellish it and learn all the techniques for bringing in dimensional lumber that's got section views to it, using repeating elements for siding, modifying the interfaces of some of these elements, and also building the wall sections and the floor sections specifically with the details already in them and their definition and their BIM component definition, so that they would render correctly when shown in a section view as drawn here. So I thought this was probably a good place to bring the introductory course students into preparation for construction tech. So a few things that are also happening, and I just added this in. I had abandoned this original townhouse design, which was wood framed, for this new style, which was one that's being produced actually here in Buffalo. The idea is to bring in all the concepts of sweeps and other techniques for creating architectural renderings. But there exists the possibility that this could be advanced as far as wood frame construction. That's up to you, or up to you guys, directing what you really want to see as far as alignments go. So I think that's it. I'll provide this as a PDF, or I'll the link to the Google Slides for you, and look for some feedback and see how I can better align with what you need in construction tech preparation.